Hello, people of the internet, and welcome to another episode of the Shuwatch podcast. I am, of course, Andres Perez, aka Kaj Noir, and here with me is a really good friend of mine, someone who has been on the channel several times, in fact. The last time you've seen him was on episode 29, in which we had both him and our mutual friend Matt Denian on board. Give it up for Mr. Christopher Martinez.
Thanks, Andres. I'm happy to be back.
Exactly. It's always a pleasure, man. And for those of... Yeah?
I thought it was long in episode 29. It seems like a while.
Yeah. In fact, like I remember the first time you were here on the channel, it was episode 22. It was the second time that we had James Biggie on board, and that's actually the podcast where I met you for the first time. My friends and I met you for the first time.
Oh, yeah, that's...
Yeah. So it's like, it was through our friend Biggie that, you and I have met, and pretty much like things have never been the same since. It's like you've always had like that presence on the channel.
That's what I do.
Mm-hmm. It's like you have that strong effect on people. People are never going to forget you after they meet you.
Apparently, I don't know if that's good or not. But and the funny thing is too, I had discovered your channel long before we actually met on your podcast, because I started watching your reviews quite a while ago.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. Yeah, and I was very touched to hear that. And it's kind of the opposite situation with when it came to me and James, where it's like I was familiar with his work before I met him. But yeah, it's very great. And you've since come on the Shuwatch podcast multiple times. Back in November 2016 on episode 28, we had a State of the Fire Beast special where we kind of gave an update on the status of the Fire Beast Dorogon comic book series that you created with Jonathan Claude. And you were also on, like, in the very next episode with Matt Denian, talking about your crossover between your character Dorogon and Atomic Rex, Matt Denian's Atomic Rex. And so what you approached me with the idea of doing a State of the Fire Beast 2018 special,
yes.
Where, because a lot of things have come up in over the recent months that have kind of drastically changed plans for the Fire Beast Dorogon series that you created. And so I believe it was a great idea to make this podcast to update fans of the metafictional comic book series that you yourself created, along with John. So what is the first thing you want to get into?
Well, I think one of the major news points was that John and I have, since last we spoke, separated from our former publisher now, Insane Comics.
Mm-hmm.
We had made a mutual agreement for that, and it was a very amicable split.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, it was probably best for us both to go our own ways.
Mm-hmm.
They did a lot of great stuff for us, and we definitely wish them well. Like they're doing fantastic with all their other books.
Oh yeah, they seem to have quite a collection of other comics.
Yeah, and they're growing all the time. So I'd still recommend checking out Insane Comics and the stuff they do. John and I are going to carry forward self-publishing.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, what we're going to do is reprint Night of the Fire Beast and Fire Beast Dorogon versus Garen.
Oh,
yep.
Garen. That's how you pronounce it. Okay, I always forgot it. I always just called it Garan or Garan if it's like Japanese katakana.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think it even matters.
Right. It's like Gamera, Gamera.
Yeah, Garan is to you what you need him to be.
Yeah.
That's what.
That is the true meaning of giant monsters.
Yes. So initially, our plan is to reprint those,
mm-hmm.
and we had planned before on reprinting each individually, but what we're going to actually do is print them both together in a collection.
Mm-hmm.
And in keeping with the metafictional movie theme, it will be not like a comic book collection, but instead it will be a double feature monster movie marathon.
Mm-hmm.
which will have both stories in order, plus a lot of different extras. I think we're going to reprint the Atomic Rex versus Doragon lost footage from that recently appeared in GFan.
Yeah.
I have another writer who may be working on an actual Pangoro story, which
nice.
we have. Yeah, that'll be the in between the children's short story film. Plus, like articles, interviews with the cast members from the films, and a ton of different art pinups by different artists like Tyler. Probably some of the reprints from the other books. Yeah, it's going to be pretty fantastic.
Yeah, that does sound like a lot of content.
Yeah, and that way it'll all be collected in one with extras, so you can even if you've purchased the Insane Comics editions, it's still going to be something new. We're remastering it, fixing a lot of stuff that needed to be tweaked, fixing up the color for Doragon X Garen, and basically just making the remastered version and putting them out, under our name so that we can keep that going.
Right. And let's see, I remember beforehand you had sold both each comic individually under like a $5 price tag, if I'm correct.
Yeah, it was it $3 or $4? I think was cover. I think $4 was cover price.
Oh, okay. So, how much do you plan on selling this like Doragon or Fire Beast like 2-pack special?
We haven't figured that out yet. We're waiting to see what our final page count is going to be, as far as our printing costs will be. But I expect it will still be under 10. But it's going to be a pretty thick collection once we get everything in there.
Okay.
And of course, James Big going to be doing the covers as usual.
Oh, nice.
We couldn't leave Biggie out.
Oh, of course not. He's essential. Biggie's the key to all this. He's a funnier character than we had before. Hopefully it'll work out.
The cornerstone of the Fire Beast series.
Yeah, of course. You can never have a project without Biggie's involvement.
No. His covers are amazing to look at.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. His minimalist poster art style is just simply out of this world, and even I had to, he was the first person that came to mind when it came to the Draco Azul comic that I'm working on. Where it's like, there's only one person I know who can do this cover. And
the other thing is, when his covers are on a shelf with 50 or 100 other comic books, you can look right at them. Like, they stand out, like, amazingly.
Yeah, totally.
So that we are going to relaunch our rebooted, rebranded Doragon company, I guess. We actually don't even have a name yet, but that's all going to be relaunched at G-Fest 2018.
Oh, nice. So you already... Oh, yeah, that's right. You already got yourself a confirmed spot within the Artist Alley, which is confirmed to be in a new location this time around.
Yes, underground, hidden location.
Yes, so anyone who is listening, if you really want to support your artists, your favorite artists, or want to meet any of us, because I actually will be down there, thankfully, you guys will have to go into the, the Crown Plaza, Chicago O'Hare.
Yes.
That's where G-Fest is held every year for the last 25 years, I want to say.
It's going on 25 this year, yeah.
Yes. Because before, I believe it was called G-Con in Los Angeles?
Los Angeles, and I think they might have had one other location at some point years ago, but I'm not sure.
Right. So anyone who wants to, support the artists there, you would have to go, once you enter the hotel, there is like an underground basement level where there's a bunch of extra panels in smaller rooms. And there's even a little theater room where you get to watch some like independent, like some indie films down there. You and I actually saw some Dojo Studio films.
that was fun stuff.
Yeah. And I remember. Do you remember when a fan actually recognized me because he recognized my voice when you and I were talking?
Yeah, well, of course he'd recognize your voice. How could you not?
I guess so.
And also the model room is down.
Right. Yeah, and there's a lot of beautiful stuff downstairs. So I know a lot of people, like, the main attraction for G-Fest has always been, like, the big ballrooms where, like, the biggest panels are at, along with, like, the dojo studio rooms where they can get, like, a sneak peek at how giant monster movies are made, but on, like, a much smaller scale. So, but yeah, there's a lot of great stuff to see downstairs. So that's where we're going to be, down there. And yeah, you can go there, you can check out inside the artist alley, the new artist alley. And give our work a look. That's where you can also you'll find the remastered, rebranded, all new, all different, totally different, but still the same Firebeast Dorogon, and you can see Draco Azul as well there.
Actually, John Claude will be coming over from Wales for this year.
Right, that's true.
Yeah, so you'll also get to see the Welshman.
Yes. I mean, who doesn't want to see the Welshman? He's fun. He's just as fun to talk to as well.
Oh. Hmm? Oh yeah, he's totally fun. Good guy.
Absolutely, great guy all around. The dude, he went out of his way to like show me the ropes when it came to comic book writing, and so I'll always be grateful for that. I always feel like I will be forever in debt to that because of that.
He'll probably take you up on that too.
Yeah. I will do whatever I can to make it up for him.
Okay, remember you said that.
I hope that at the very least I can buy him a drink.
I'll probably do that.
Let's see. So, the reason why the G-Fest, the whole place moved downstairs was because the old area where G-Fest Artist Alley was at was because that whole area is being turned into another restaurant, I think.
Yeah, a restaurant or some sort of cafe.
Right, because before it was just this empty cafeteria area that no one was using, so you guys just set up shop there to give more space between, I guess, the dealer's room and the artist alley.
Yeah, and now they moved us even farther away.
Right. Do you think there may have been another option for you guys?
I don't know. I mean, apparently there were no other options given, so we'll never know, really.
True. Yeah.
Some of the guys were trying to fight for one of the ballrooms upstairs, but with all the big panels, I don't see that happening either.
Yeah. Let's see. I guess, I don't know if Dojo... I wonder, does Dojo Studios make movies, every year when they're there? Because I'm thinking if there was ever a year where they can't make movies, that could be a potential area for future artist alleys.
Yeah, I think they'll always be there, though. They're one of the mainstays.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. Yeah.
They're extremely popular too. So I don't think we have the clout for that space.
Right. But I guess at the very least, this time around, you'll be in an area where people actually walk around instead of the cafeteria area where people would have to go out of their way to walk down up those steps, and there you go.
A lot of the guys working on signage and making people aware of where the new alley is going to be. So hopefully that'll.
Yeah. I can only imagine people who were completely unaware of this. They'll just go to where the old artist alley was, and they'll be like, "Wait a minute, why is there a cafe here?"
Yeah, and I think
I wanted some art, not coffee.
Well, you can have both.
That is true.
Actually, coffee would be good, but I think there's some push to get some signage around there too, so people will know where we move to.
Right. Oh, you know what? The idea of coffee and art. What if we were to offer free coffee? That will get more people in. for every print that you get a free cup of coffee.
Yeah, why not?
All right then.
Somebody tell Frank.
True.
Yeah. We may have some additional stuff that we're going to be launching. G-Fest. Also, a friend of mine who is a toy maker is actually working on tiny, Sofubi Gashapan style Doragons.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I love miniature like gashapon figurines.
Yeah, and it's going to look totally goofy, like it came out of the 60s or 70s.
Uh-huh.
We're trying to package it, in the little plastic bag and make it look vintage.
Oh, okay. Like a plastic bag with little like cardboard, little sign that says Dorugan.
Exactly.
Oh, nice.
Like we'll be molding them in like all different colors, like
cool.
Sofubi colors.
And like, are those going to be like a single color, or is it going to be like those weird spray painted like 2 to 3 colors?
Oh, it could be anything. He can actually make any of that happen.
Oh, nice. I always love those old school like sofubi. I guess for those who don't know, sofubi is the Japanese version, because you know how Japanese love to bastardize the English language. So sofubi is like a combination of soft vinyl, but they don't even say vinyl, they say biniru. So sofu biniru, sofubi, they combined it into sofubi. And so, like, whenever I explain the word vinyl to my students, be it like vinyl figures or vinyl records, they'll be like, "What's vinyl?" I'm like, "Biniru." Oh, they'll all react.
Yeah, and actually, these will be resin figures, but they'll be modeled after the sofubi style.
Will they be like more like how would you say it, like chibi style, or more like soft rounded, or will these be more like scaled figures?
Kind of a combination of all of them, sort of. But at the same time, it's going to have the aesthetic of the old style where you got a Godzilla figure, but it looked nothing like Godzilla.
Yeah. I believe I may have had one of those figures growing up.
Easy style.
And let's see. Will you be planning on making figures for Dorugan only, or do you have other monsters that you plan to make?
Right now, we're just going to do a run of Dorugan for right now, and see how that goes. One, because we want to see how they do, and he's kind of busy with his own toy stuff.
Okay.
But do you happen
to have... Sorry, go ahead.
If Dorugan does well, then we'll definitely consider getting some more kaiju out.
Yeah. I would love to see like Gran and Triceras be able to make their own appearance in full 3D physical form. But I'm very happy to hear that that'll happen for Dorugan.
Yep, and we had planned, we're still planning on doing the final book in the trilogy, Fire Beast Legacy.
Right.
But that's going to be within the next couple of years, I think. There was actually on the board a science action team issue that I was going to try and have ready for this year's G-Fest. Just basically like an episode of Science Action Team, which would cross over with our Gargantus strip from Monster Magazine and have featured Gun and Giant Prometheus, the fighting robot.
Right.
Unfortunately, before I was able to start that, we had some other issues.
Right. So do you want to go into that now?
Yeah. So we ended up canceling that for the time being and pushing back the other book because I was recently diagnosed with late stage cancer. So for the time being, we're trying to keep it simple and not do too much. And mainly focus on getting the previous books released under our new imprint.
Right.
And once we see how things are going after G-Fest, then we can start on some newer stuff. But I'm also, I basically suspended all my comic work, like freelance and Dorugan. And the only stuff I'm doing right now is taking mainly kaiju and different art commissions in order to help pay for what's going to be mounting medical bills in the future.
Right. Because I remember I mentioned this to you before recording that I did some some research on how much this usually would cost, when it comes to radiation treatment and especially chemotherapy. When I saw those prices, I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and luckily I have good insurance from my day job. That'll help. But every little bit's gonna help, and I know you and Matt have already helped with some commissions, and by you spreading the word on Facebook alone, I think I've lined up 6 or 7 as we speak.
Oh, that's amazing
So,
work, man.
and more and more people are contacting me every day. So it's cool to actually still be able to keep working on something and like putting it to something useful. And I appreciate everyone who's helping out with that.
Yeah. So, how does it feel to be going back into this commission? Have you ever done ever been fully open for commissions in the past?
I have been. I've just never really gotten many.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I end up starting a new book, like all my free time is taken up drawing the book.
Right. So then, like, all of your everything that you would do art-wise has always been personal up to now.
Right.
Okay, yeah. So now here you are, like, doing stuff for other people again. And how does that feel like for you?
Most of the time, it's pretty fun. It's interesting to see what people are bringing that they want drawn, like the different combinations of characters, and quite often it's a Doragon versus like a Godzilla, or a crossover. Like for Matt Denyon, I did Triceras versus his character Chimera, and for you two, I'm crossing over both your mecha characters.
Right. So I'm very excited to hear that.
Yeah, and then one couple I know actually have commissioned me to paint a flamingo and peacock, which is totally
nice.
But it's something a little different, so it'll keep it interesting.
Yeah, and I've seen your painting. Like, you've recently gotten into painting over the last like 2 years, I want to say. And when it comes to like more realistic style paintings, you've really been been able to nail that new venture or that new avenue.
Yeah, I've gotten back into it over the past couple of years. I used to almost exclusively paint, like do painted illustrations and painted comics and stuff. But I got out of that, and like I'm much happier doing black and white lately. I think that's more my thing.
I've noticed that. Yeah. You really embrace that as like your one true art style. Yeah,
and I think it's coming together really good, and I just keep using more and more ink.
Yeah. And now I think within the last couple of years, you've mentioned that you have moved away from digital art and gotten back into like physical art.
Actually, not the last couple of years. Actually, specifically the last month since my diagnosis.
True. Right. Sorry. Oh, I remember like you and I have been talking about it, and you mentioned your interest in moving away from the digital stuff.
Yeah, and I had started to a little bit, at least. I was still doing the books digitally because it's more efficient in a lot of ways. But I was doing more physical art as well, just to keep my chops up. But now, since the diagnosis, I've just stopped doing digital completely because I want to have some physical art left afterward. Worst case scenario.
Yeah. And so I think you mentioned before in Alpha recording that ever since the diagnosis, that it's kind of, in a way, ironically, kind of reignited your passion for art.
Yeah, it's been kind of strange like that. I guess like a lot of the little quirks and issues that I'd had, the little problems that I'd had, like with working on certain things, it doesn't really matter now, so I don't worry about it. And I can just draw these commissions and have fun doing it.
That is very good to hear. And so I guess in a way, it's sort of like cleared your mind of any sort of what would be the word, hesitancies that you may have had in the past.
Yeah, it's a lot more focused now. In general, not just on art, but on a lot of stuff. It's definitely a perspective changer.
Oh yeah, I can bet when something this drastic happens or shows up in your life. So then, the idea. I remember you mentioned that you had a plan for Firebeast Legacy, and originally the idea was to have the whole comic painted. In order to replicate that feel of like a gritty, more realistic reboot, Hollywood style reboot. In a worst case scenario, what sort of plans do you have for the future of Dorogon in like I said, in a worst case scenario?
We actually, I've talked to someone, basically handpicked someone to take over if something like that, like the worst case scenario happens.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm not going to divulge that right now, but yeah, someone I trust a lot, probably the only person I would trust with the Fire Beast to carry on.
Mm-hmm.
But that book's going to get done at some point, regardless of who's doing it.
Right. So the literal legacy will live on.
Right.
Both the comic legacy and the Dorogon, the artistic legacy.
Yes.
Either way, that is good to hear.
Yeah, and script is complete right now. Like we're just sitting on it until we can get around to doing it. And of course, there's the science action team episode, and
yes.
We could fill in as many other bits of the Dorogon history as we wanted to along the timeline at any point.
Right. And yeah, it is a very interesting, timeline, because you've always imagined Dorogon to be this like metafictional character that exists inside as a fictional character within a bigger universe. And so, much like Godzilla, how he has been depicted in many different forms of media, you have like free range to depict Dorogon in multiple different avenues. And the science action team, that was supposed to be like your take on Ultraman, right? Right. So instead, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. It was the same science action team that starred in Dorogon X Garen. Mm-hmm. So it was their television show. Mm-hmm. So this would be a DVD release of one of their most famous episodes, wherein Dorogon was the guest star.
Right. So you've got like some Ultraman with some Zone Fighter stuff in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think Pengoro also showed up in it.
Oh, nice. And was the robot Prometheus, was that sort of like a mainstay for every episode of the show?
Mostly, yeah. Not always, I think. I think he mainly is brought out for when they need the big guns. Mm-hmm. And he's not so much like the Ultraman. Like the one I illustrated for the Kaiju Assault game was more streamlined and modern. Mm-hmm. In the 60s, 70s TV show version, he or along the lines of a Red Baron, and because you know how much Red Baron.
Oh yeah, you love Red Baron. Okay, that sounds good. And let's see, was there anything else? Let's see. Okay. I forgot. For the upcoming release of the Dorogon 2-pack comic, what sort of avenue are you taking in terms of releasing the comic or getting the comic printed or distributed?
Right now, our plan is to use a print-on-demand printer, probably Kablam. Mm-hmm. That way they will obviously print on demand as orders come in. So they maintain a web presence and a link with your book. So if you want to order that book, you can go directly through the Dorogon website to the site and order a copy of the book, and it'll be shipped directly to you. Mm-hmm.
Can you also place that link into the Facebook page?
Oh, yeah. You can put their links anywhere.
Okay, yeah.
To your comics. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we'll place stock orders of our own for the conventions. So there. But it's a little easier than having all the print overhead, especially since this is going to be primarily a color book. Mm-hmm. Printing costs on color books, and especially a book that's going to be larger like this one, containing 2 issues plus of material, the printing costs add up pretty quick.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. And let's see, did you use Kablam for the first Fire Beast Dorogon book, when the one with Big E's original black and white cover?
No, we used a small printer called Kennis Printing, which did a really good job. Mm-hmm. But again, it was still quite a bit of overhead. Like it wasn't expensive, but we still have a bunch of those books left over.
Oh, wow.
So by using print on demand, you print what you need, and you can order more in small amounts as you need them.
Very true. Yeah, and that's why I really gravitated towards Kablam as well when it came to my project. Are you planning on using Kablam's own website for distributing comics? What's it called? Indie Planet?
I think that's one of the things that I think that's an automatic. I think you show up on Indie Planet automatically when you go through Kablam.
Right. So then you can either go through your own personal link, be it on the Dorugan Facebook page or the Dorugan official website, or you can just go to Indie Planet and you'll see Kablam's entire library of comics.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's very good to hear.
And you don't be a member in order to get the books either.
Right. So it's kind of like Amazon. You just go there, shop for whatever indie comic you're looking for, and there you go.
Right.
All right, excellent. It sounds like a very convenient system and one that will hopefully work for a lot of people there and for a lot of satisfied customers.
And it makes it a lot easier for people to get their books out.
Yeah, absolutely. They won't have to worry about inventory or, printing costs, since Kablam will automatically take their share out of it.
Right. And, especially with a niche genre like we're in, realistically, printing 1,000 or 2,000 copies of a book is a little overkill for us.
Yeah.
So, until we make the genre explode more, small runs are much, much better and more efficient for smaller publishers like us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And who knows, maybe one day after in the event that the comic may become like a cult hit, those very small limited runs of the initial comics will become quite the collector's item.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can only imagine what's this like a small indie comic that got really big? Let's see.
I don't even keep track anymore.
Let's see. Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, Mirage Comics was completely brand new that the Eastman and Laird made up themselves. Yeah. So now those original Ninja Turtle comics from Mirage are now super rare and very highly sought after.
Yeah.
Or What was that?
Oh, I said it's a very similar situation. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So then one last thing we want to cover, or is there anything else that you want to bring up Dorugan-wise before we get into a new project that Matt made in your honor ever since you had the unfortunate news of your diagnosis?
No, actually, that's all the Dorugan news. So let's move on with this.
Okay, so this is something that that Matt had an idea for. He approached you about doing this, and then he quickly approached me, and then so the three of us kind of became the three main, I guess you would call, figureheads of this project. And he gave us the chance to promote this comic. You probably, if you watch my channel, my previous videos, especially my Godzilla and animation videos, you probably already know what this is. And this is Kaiju versus Cancer, which is a charity project that he started, where he wants to get a bunch of our friends together and friends together to create a bunch of art involving all of our characters crossing over with each other, and then selling that art in the form of t-shirts or printed posters or anything else that we can do, and eventually pool all that money together and donate it to the St. Jude Children's Hospital, which I believe is the #1 cancer research facility, unless I'm corrected.
Yeah, and I don't know if he's still waiting on approval from St. Jude, but I think he's pretty close if he hasn't already received it.
But we've already talked to a lot of people. So how did Matt how did he approach you from the beginning?
Actually, he just came up with it out of the blue when we were chatting on Facebook one night. And he came up with the idea, and like the whole thing is his brainchild. Actually, he's done all the spearheading of this.
Oh yeah, definitely trying to get in touch with any connections he can make.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be pretty cool. Even if we don't have the official endorsement, we'll still make the donations.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're still they're St. Jude is going to get our money. They're gonna take our money whether they like it or not.
Damn right.
Yeah. Let's see. So going down the list, we've already got quite a number of people involved. We have like authors, we have writers, and we even have several YouTubers who plan to help promote the cancer group. Two of them being Goji Fan 93 and D-Man 1954. Two of the, from what I can see, from what I can tell, two of the biggest YouTubers in the Godzilla kaiju YouTuber community. Let's see. In terms of other YouTubers, we actually have Deadpoolzilla and the Omniviewer, both of whom are actually going to contribute their characters in our project. Along the way, we've also got, of course, Matt Denian. We have your Dorugan characters. We have Denny's characters. We have me involved with Draco Azul, Tyler Souls and Durantis, Timothy Price and Alan O.W. Barnes, John Opal, Zach Cole. He's got the Kaiju Epoch comic novel. Chris Nigro. Mark Denian, Matt Denian's brother. He's got a children's character called the Thesaurus, I think it's called.
Oh, yeah, I heard him.
Mm-hmm. We have Frank Parr with the Arrakis comic. We got his partner, Wayne Smith. We have my animator, Crooked Lord, giving some of his non-kaiju, but still kind of more horror-themed characters, in the form of Augustine and Belle, the Crooked Man and the Crooked Cat Girl, respectively, those silly characters. K.H. Kohler. We have an artist who I've had many times on the show, Raph and Shoma. We have Steve Tao, aka Winter Gaia. You may know him as the creator of Raptor Gear. Let's see, Jeremy Robinson. We can get Nemesis. Because due to some legal rights issue, because Jeremy Robinson is currently having making some business deals involving Nemesis, so we can't have that character involved now. But we were able to get his other character, Kronos, which is sort of like a mosasaur type of monster. Let's see, we have Keith Foster with his Kadoja character, and of course, the one and only James Biggie and Robot God Akamatsu. There are still some other people that we want to get in touch with, but for now, this may be the full list so far. But like I said, it could change, it could get bigger. But we're very happy to have so many talented individuals willing to give their time to be a part of this.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really fantastic project, and it's going to help out a lot.
Oh yeah, definitely. So already you have been commissioned to do several of these pieces for the project itself, right?
I'm not sure if Matt's going to use them for the project or not. So I assume that you two probably would.
Yes, we are. So the the Atomic Rex and Dorugan print that you made before the project ever came into existence will be included. As is your Chimera and Triceras, Draco Azul and Steel Samurai from Matt's Atomic Rex novel is in it. I guess he also commissioned you to do a Garan versus Kaiju Corps.
Oh, he did?
I didn't. Oh, okay. I guess he wanted to commission you for another piece.
Okay, well, I'm down for that too.
Mm-hmm. And I've talked to you recently, you and James recently, about doing a Dorugan, Draco Azul, and Robot God Akamatsu piece of all three of our characters together. Since I guess it's I really wanted, it's from the very beginning I've always wanted to see our three characters together, since you and James kind of introduced me to this wonderful community, circle of friends that you guys have of these amazing and talented artists. And both you guys have been a huge inspiration for me personally. So, it would be a dream to see all of our characters together.
Well, that's definitely going to happen.
I'm very happy to hear that. And one more thing is that Tyler, he's going to be producing a while back, when Tyler first came onto the Shuwatch podcast, he made Dorugon, not Dorugon, a Durantis versus Draco Azul piece as like the title card for that podcast. And so he expressed interest in redoing that piece. And so recently I went up to him and said, hey, would you like to do that piece for Kaiju versus Cancer? And he was totally down for it. So you can expect to see the rematch of I keep saying Durantis versus Draco Azul for Kaiju versus Cancer. Let's see, for John Opal, we've got an idea of having Deadpoolzilla's like mascot going up against Matt Denion's Talos from one of his earlier books. And we have something else also involving Crooked Lord's characters and another of Matt's characters. And Steve Tao, we've got like two big pieces involving a lot of our characters all together. One that's like chibi themed, one that's like mecha themed. And finally we have like, he's got some other ideas planned that involves his characters.
Excellent.
And so that's in terms of like the confirmed artwork, that is what we have so far from you, Tyler, John, and Steve. And hopefully we plan to make like two Facebook groups. We plan to make like an official Facebook page that people can like and follow for Kaiju versus Cancer. And we also have an idea to have a Facebook group that's like only for all of us, so we can like discuss in private like which prints do you want to do, or for any artist to come out and say, hey, I want to work with these characters. Is it okay?
Yes.
That's generally what we have planned for the near future. Let's see. So, any other further thoughts any further comments you want to make on this?
No, I think actually that was pretty much it for me.
All right, excellent. And let's see. So we've covered over Kaiju vs. Cancer. We've talked about like the future of Dorugon, the current commissions that you are currently open for. Anything else that you want to go over?
Oh, no. That's like I said, that pretty much covers everything I had in mind.
All right, excellent. So, to, I guess, wrap things up, where can people find you if they ever want to commission you for another art piece?
They can find me as Christopher Martinez on Facebook, or email me at gappa23@gmail.com. And also thechristophermartinez.com is my website. They can contact me through there as well.
Mm-hmm. And through there, they can also find a huge back catalog of your previous art that you've made over the years, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the people can definitely know what they're in for whenever they're interested in a Christopher Martinez original piece.
Exactly.
All right, excellent, man. And so, thank you very much, Chris, for being on the show again. And I can only hope for the best for you. It has been an absolute pleasure once again having you on the show. It's always fun. It's always a fun time having you here. And so I just hope of course I'm here to support you any way I can. And hopefully the audience will do so as well.
Oh, and I appreciate that. And thank you for having me again. It's always a good time coming on Shuwatch.
Absolutely. And, we'll have many more discussions to come here on the channel.
Oh, yeah, we will. I'm not planning on going anywhere.
Oh, no. Not just yet.
No.
All right, then. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us for episode 34 of the Shuwatch podcast. Hope I got that number right. I have been your host, Andres Perez, a.k.a. Kaiju Noir.
And I've been Christopher Martinez.
And until next time, everybody, take care.